Welcome to the after party. Welcome to the after party. Did you bring some snacks and treats?
Yes, it did.
I hope you got me something to eat.
Maybe.
Welcome to the after party. Coming to the after party.
Right now.
I've been waiting here all day to act like a fool this way. Welcome to the after party. Join us in the after party.
Right now.
Oh, chocolate and gabbing, maybe some microphone gabbing at the after party.
With DJ Eric, Paige,
And Geek Drums. Lance is here, everyone.
I'm back.
Yeah, back again. Paigey will be here. We actually just got off a call with him. He was ordering food from McDonald's, and he got a double cheeseburger combo. What was it? What was the order, Lance?
It was a double cheeseburger combo with no onions, and then a 6-piece nugget with the barbecue sauce, as he put it,
Oh, okay.
and a Coke no sugar,
Right.
which is gross. Ew.
Anyway, he'll be here at some point, probably talking about his food. So get ready. He might even like be eating in the background because y'all know he likes to do that. Anyway, he'll be here soon. All right. So, yes, there was no after party last week because I was sick, like sick. Like if you saw my videos or anything from like Thursday-ish, you'll know that like my voice was already on vacation, and then it got fired like Henry Cavill. And so it wasn't present for the whole weekend. So I couldn't do anything. I couldn't talk.
Too soon.
Too soon. Was it too soon? And so anyway, so yeah, now I'm back. Everything's pretty much back to normal, I guess. Yeah, it was not great. I had the flu. So yeah, actually they're saying, I don't know how it is in your area, but here they're like, there's this, what is it? Tridemic, where it's like you can get all three things. Like it's,
And then we had to worry about RSV for like the infants and the older people as well.
yeah.
It was a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah. So, all right, we give a shout out to some Team Eric members. We got a few here in the building. We have Kada, obviously Lance. Give him a shout out. You know, why not? Robert's in the building. Let's see, who else do we have here? Laura's here. South Texas Shark is in the house. And a bunch of people from the Eric verse. I see Ragu's here, Daniela, Rex, Feather Guardian. Thank you guys all everybody for being here. Even if I didn't shout you out, I do apologize. All right, so we did not get a chance to talk about Stargirl last week. I'm going to give some, we'll get to that. I'll talk a little bit about my thoughts on the finale. We're not going to do like a deep dive or whatever. We're not going to do that. But I'll talk about it there. And I primarily want to talk about Jay Garrick and the possibility of Stargirl in the future and what could happen with the show, because I feel like that's more interesting now than talking about the finale because we're 2 weeks out. So we'll do that in the review section. And we'll get to that. But the first thing we're going to talk about is it's a bunch of stories, but they're all kind of connected together. And that is all the drama right now that's going on with DC films, just so much random stuff. So here we are. Hot Topics, not the store, not Hot Topic the store. We're going to talk about that. And and then we're also going to talk a little bit before we get to Stargirl about the pictures from the Flash and the trailer. We're going to talk a little bit about the trailer and how hype everybody is going into season 9. Because I'm hype.
I am
Are
too.
you hype? I'm hype.
That made my day before they promptly killed it at the end of the day.
Oh, okay. Got it. So Kada, this is so funny. Ways. Lance, Darkbat is glad you're here. So there we go. Kada goes, why didn't Andy ask Jeff Johns all the questions we wanted him to ask? So I've said this before. I wish Andy was here because I would give him I'd mess with him a little bit. But that is why I'll never interview any of those people, because when I did my interview for Danielle Panabaker, and I always have to go back to this because people forget about it. I interviewed her like 5 years ago. I had to submit my questions. But then when I got there and I was sitting in front of her, I started asking about shipping and like the West Island versus Snowberry stuff. And I guess she was not happy about that. So they never allowed me to release the interview. So, you know,
Yikes.
there it is. But I did interview a couple people. I've interviewed Paul Blackthorne from Arrow. I've interviewed, obviously, Matt Lesher. So I've done some interviews that are pretty much, set up with questions. But I don't like doing that. I'm just going to be straight up. I don't like doing that. But I also understand why actors don't want to be blindsided.
Yeah.
So it's like, in a perfect world, I would love to be able to just like have someone on and literally ask them anything that I want to ask them. But the problem is that would be tough for them. Their PR people would absolutely have a nightmare with that. Like, so interviews typically don't give out the kind of information that I would want as a fan. If they want to tease something for an upcoming season, that's fine. But there's questions like, that's why a lot of times scoopers and like leaks end up being more interesting, because that's real shit.
Yeah.
That's like stuff that if it turns out real, people are like, they would never have released that or never told us that. And the reason why is because they have to like vet all of these interviews beforehand. So for me, in an interview process, I would love to do more interviews, but at the same time, that's not really my vibe. So I'll let Andy and everybody else do it. They do a great job with it. I'm going to sit back and I'll read whatever it is I'll read whatever it is they get out of it. All right, let's talk about this DC stuff. I'm going to put an article, and then we're going to sort of what's the sigh for? What was that all about?
It's been going downhill since this announcement.
Yeah.
Well, before this announcement, because before this was just all the stuff about The Rock and how they think a lot of his stuff has been fake, and what he did after this drop.
Well, I mean, it isn't even included in this article, but it ends up that they gave out fake information to Deadline, I think.
Yeah.
Which, if you notice, they've stopped talking about that. They're not refuting it anymore. Because anybody with 2 seconds in abilities in math can determine that it's not true. They didn't make money off of that movie. And if you won't even believe the math, just look at what's happening. Everything that's happening with DC as we go through this article is a product of a bunch of unprofitable things for them. Now, I do want to preface this by saying that I don't think making a profit determines how good something is.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of things out there that don't turn a profit that are amazing. And there's a lot of different reasons why things like that could happen. So me saying that something is not profitable is not me saying that it's garbage, that it's trash, that it was bad. It's simply pointing out that they have not been able to make money off of it in the way they wanted. And I talked about this over at Twitch. Shout out to my Twitch. If you're not following me on twitch.tv/Eric'sReloaded, you're missing out. I do streams over there as well. But yeah, we talked about this on Twitch.
They're more edgy.
They're very edgy. It's not safe for work. But a movie, like, look at the MCU and look at the tier of characters they had in phase 1 of the MCU. They were batting with their like third string. I mean, it was they really were coming from a place where it just wasn't their top tier characters. When you think about Marvel pre MCU, top tier characters for Marvel would have been Spider-Man, the X-Men, Deadpool, any of these bigger characters that like could turn money. And people say Deadpool wasn't profitable for Marvel. Deadpool was huge in Marvel. Huge. Deadpool was one of the most popular characters in Marvel outside of your big teams. So yeah, it was crazy that it took them so long to get the movie out, but Deadpool was a popular character.
Yeah, the Avengers, nobody looking for the Avengers, Iron Man. Like, nobody expected Iron Man to like blow up, especially with Robert Downey Jr. attached.
Yeah.
Like nobody expected that.
Yeah, it was out of this world. And the Avengers over the years have been a team where it's sort of like everybody had been on them. Like, yeah, there was a core Avengers. Like, you go back and go, okay, here's some of the founding characters. But at the end of the day, the Avengers have really just been a rotating cast of characters. They throw people in the Avengers. There's like 5 different versions of the Avengers. The Avengers in Europe. There's the West Coast Avengers, Great Lakes Avengers. There's tons of Avengers, young Avengers. So, and I'm getting to my point here. Taking a while to get there. But my point is that DC out of the gate had their biggest characters available to them. Out of the gate. Paigey has arrived.
How's your burger?
Yo, where my dog's at? You know.
But DC out of the gate had their biggest characters. And what I mean by their biggest characters, they had the Holy Trinity, which is Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman. That is their money-making characters. That's the ones that, when you look at DC Comics, they're the equivalent of what the X-Men were for Marvel. They're the ones that print the money. So to come out and have arguably 3 movies with your biggest star, which is Superman, not get close to $1 billion, and in some ways not break $1 billion, regardless of how we look at it as fans, and we go, oh, they were okay. They were good movies, right? The studio was probably having the shits over that.
Yep.
Right? Would you agree with that, Paigey? That they probably expected those movies to do a lot better?
Well, yeah, especially the ones with Batman and Superman, specifically.
BVS.
Like,
yeah, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, like, with other characters, like, I think they would have been happy. Like, obviously with Aquaman, it overperformed, so they would have been ecstatic with that. But
right,
the fact that a movie with Batman and Superman didn't break $1 billion, let alone 900 million, is a concern. Like, would have been a major concern.
Yeah. So, like, and I'm looking at BVS. And BVS, people want to say that Marvel stole the idea with Civil War. Maybe there's truth in that. Maybe that's really what happened. But at the end of the day, when you've got 2 products coming out that are the same, the general public doesn't care how that other product came to exist. They just care about the one they like the most.
That's true.
And Civil War was a massive film for Marvel. People clown it, joke on it, but again, the public decided. That was out of the 2 of them. If you're putting them side by side, that was the movie they cared about. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that Civil War came out at a time where we had already had a bunch of Marvel movies. Whereas BVS came out without ever having a second Man of Steel or a first Batman movie.
I feel as if they just jumped the gun a lot trying to play catch up with Marvel. I said that in my stream about this whole thing. They tried to jump the gun, and it just kept backfiring on them.
Yeah,
every single time. And it's like they didn't learn. They have so much studio interference with people that don't know about these, about their Trinity, about their core characters. They don't know anything about them because they don't read comics. They're only looking at it from a money aspect. So you have all these bigwigs coming in and chopping up these movies and pulling out the important parts. And then you have to turn around and say, okay, we're going to put all that back in and just release a Ultimate Edition. The first 3 films in at least, like, how many films was it? Like 2 or 3 films in that franchise, in that universe that was supposed to start it with BVS and Superman and needing the Snyder cut of the Justice League. You should need a Ultimate Edition of all of those films.
Right.
Your box office numbers shouldn't push you to do that just to try to appease the fans.
I also want to point out that there's a little bit of divisiveness between the creators and the studio when you have to release an Ultimate Edition.
Yep.
Because what happens is that gets the public thinking that they didn't feel confident in the direction of the film. and that they told the director, like, look, we're going to chop your film up, like, into little pieces, but your version will be released for home watching. And then, in the case of DC, I don't think I can find anyone who would argue that BVS theatrical version is a better movie than the Ultimate Edition, because the Ultimate Edition makes more sense than the theatrical version. It's long. Obviously, it would have been tough to put that out in theaters and get people to sit through it, but I don't think anybody would argue against that. And the thing is, Justice League, the theatrical version, I think Paige and I both said that the ending of that movie isn't necessarily awful. I think that what we get at the end of it is fine. It's everything else in that movie leading up to that. It feels very disjointed. And the Justice League that we get on HBO Max, the Zack Snyder Justice League, is a better movie, but it's 4 hours long. So, and there's no way they could have chopped that up. And actually, you could have taken out just the Cyborg stuff and gave us a solo Cyborg movie.
Yep. I agree. 100%.
There was enough content there to make a solo Cyborg movie, to be honest. So anyway, Robert Blake said, Team Eric member chat, can you make the Twitch a little earlier? It's 3 to 4 a.m. for you. I try. There's no way I'm going to please everybody with the time that I stream, though. At some point, if I streamed at 10 in the morning, somebody would complain that it's too early. So I'll try and give a little more variety with my Twitch streams. Twitch is just getting started. If you want to continue the deep dive with the Ericverse, you got to be following me over on twitch.tv, and I'm gonna keep pushing that for a while because things are about to get spicy over there. Very spicy. All right, so this is the article from Hollywood Reporter, and this is where we're going to dive into what the future might look like and where things are right now, because one of the things we found out is Henry Cavill is out as Superman right after he announced coming back. I mean, it's rough. Now, over at Twitch, we did a different article. We talked about it differently. This one came out after that stream, so this one's a little bit more updated. So let's just kind of scroll through this. Nearly 2 months to the day after Henry Cavill declared on Instagram he was back as Superman, I want to make it official. I guess it wasn't so official. He said on the October 24th clip, the actor was forced to acknowledge that no, he will not be back after all, as the new DC Studios bosses James Gunn and Peter Safran chart a new course for the Man of Steel in a movie to be written by Gunn, which will feature a younger actor in the lead role. I will, after all, not be returning as Superman. After being told by the studio to announce my return back in October prior to their hire, this news isn't the easiest, but that's life. The changing of the guard is something that happens. I respect that James and Peter have a universe to build. So something I noticed here that I guess I didn't notice when we were talking about on Twitch is he said the studio told him to announce the return. So this wasn't like he did it on his own, or The Rock was like, hey, you should probably hype it up, guy, whatever, nothing like that. The studio told him to announce it, which, Paige, we talked about this just the other day. They also had to know that there was stuff going on with James Gunn and Peter Safran in the back, right? I mean, there was no way it was that close to being done that the studio wasn't like, hey, we're about to hire some new guys, and it might not be a good idea to announce Henry Cavill coming back until we know what we're going to be doing, right?
There's no way. I don't see how in God's green earth that Warner Brothers officially told him to announce his return, because he hadn't written a contract. They hadn't announced anything. I wouldn't be surprised if the studio said anything. It's like, yeah, you can talk about the cameo if you want. Like, if people reply on like Instagram, you can talk about it on social media if you want. But I don't see why the hell they would tell him to officially announce that, because they were setting him up for a massive L.
Right.
They would have had some idea as to what James Gunn was planning, because they would have known at that point that James Gunn was going to be the dude.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There's no way, like, at that point, or they wouldn't have done anything without knowing what was happening. Right. They would have said, okay, yeah, we'll just let it sit for a bit. So either he was told something that was misconstrued, so it's like, yeah, you can talk about it, and he thought that was okay, well, I can confirm that I'm back, which is what he did, or his agent told him the wrong thing. The agent lied. The agent did it to push their thing, which now, along with all this Rock stuff, because it's the same agent, makes you think that it was all some ploy to push it forward.
Yeah.
To push Black Adam forward, to push Henry Superman and everything forward. And I feel like Henry Cavill was just an unfortunate, like, collateral damage in all of this.
Yeah.
And
Well, it's kind of what I was saying.
He's the victim. He's the victim in all this because he's taken the biggest L. At least
it's really weird.
Republican,
Henry
it's
Cavill in all of this drama, whether it be all the way back to the Snyder Cut stuff or the Restore the Snyderverse or Man of Steel 2 or even this, just walks away as like the dude that he's not part of the drama. Like he's in it, but it's always like it's like he's the person in the line of fire, but he never causes any of these problems himself. Like, must be nice to be that dude, right? To walk away from this and just not, and people know that you didn't have anything to do with the drama. But even I've said that, like, I feel like all of this was done in a way where, I don't remember my exact words, but we talked about the cameo in Black Adam and then his announcement to come back. And I'm like, well, what is he coming back in? Right? There was never an announcement of another movie being done. There was never an announcement of a Black Adam 2 versus Superman. There wasn't a Justice League 2 announced. There was nothing announced. He just came out and was like, I'm back as Superman. What does that mean? What did that mean at the time? It didn't mean anything. So it just felt very weird to me, like they were placating to the fans who were just going crazy over Henry Cavill to try and yet again bring people to Black Adam.
Yep.
I agree. I said that.
Right. So I'm going to read this next paragraph, but then I'm going to further that thought to go, this is the trade. The sunsetting of Cavill's time as Superman was the clearest indication yet that Gunn and Safran are mounting a substantial overhaul of DC. A reboot that will cut significant, if not most, ties to the previous regimes that handled DC movies for Warner Brothers. Cavill also shot the cameo for The Flash, one of the 4 DC movies set to release in 2023, but sources say that cameo, along with the one of Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman, is now being cut given the studio will choose not to move forward with director Patty Jenkins' version of Wonder Woman 3. All right, there's a lot there. I caught a lot of heat in this in the video that I did, that I uploaded yesterday with Paige and myself. Go check it out. But one of the things that I said in that video was what Black Adam did for Superman and Henry Cavill is they exposed that isn't enough to put asses in seats at theaters. And I think that was it for the studio. I think this was third strike, you're out kind of thing.
Yeah.
We got Man of Steel. Man of Steel financially wasn't huge. They still managed to make a profit off of it. And I still think Man of Steel is my favorite DC EU film. BVS underperformed. Justice League underperformed. And then here we had Black Adam, where they tried to use Superman to prop up this movie on a cameo in the mid-credits. Big mistake. And it made things look bad for Henry. Then we also obviously found out that Patty Jenkins and all that drama with the studio, which, by the way, that's been shown as mostly Cap. All the stuff that happened with her behind the scenes now is being said was not true. It seems like James Gunn and Peter Safran and Patty, there's no bad blood between them at all. And a lot of that stuff that supposedly happened didn't happen, coming directly from Patty and other people. So this is another issue, is the studio has to have some control over this narrative, and they don't right now.
Yeah, even James Gunn said, the person that put out the article about him wanting to mix in Robert Pattinson's Batman with the new DCU, he said, in so many words, basically, I normally trust you, but this is all BS that you made up.
Yeah.
And then Matt Reeves came right behind him and corroborated that. So they really need to get a cap on, like the Hollywood Reporter and Deadline, because everybody's running with these articles every other day, and it's just causing a lot of misinformation.
But you know why? It's because the studio is not giving them anything.
Yep.
That's the problem. And also, one of the great things about James Gunn that's also going to show us, or could be a problem down the road, is James Gunn is quick to respond to stuff that isn't true. So if something is false, he will come out and say it's false, or he'll say it's not 100% true, right? Yeah. But people have said that's a bad thing because now if some crazy news comes out and James Gunn doesn't immediately respond to it, chances are it's true.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the situation we're in when it comes to this. And I also want to point out that, people seem to have basically said they're going to boycott DC now because, of this whole Henry Cavill thing and, the Superman situation. Do either of you think there's a legitimate threat? So you think people actually are going to boycott DC? Because I'll tell you now, my thoughts on this before you guys speak there is the people that were fans of the Snyderverse and fans of Cavill were never going to support DC anyway. And they didn't give a shit about DC because they didn't go and support Black Adam, which is a movie that needed their support. So what do you think about this boycotting of DC from some of the fans?
Well, I honestly think, like you said, they didn't support DC from the jump because they're only fans of Snyder and only fans of Cavill. But that's only a small inkling of said, Snyder fans. Some are genuine DC fans that want to see, good stuff. So when they say they'll boycott, yes, they definitely will. They're boycotting that. They're boycotting James Gunn. They've even started more troll Twitter accounts calling for his demise in more ways than one that I don't want to say on YouTube.
Right.
So at the end of the day, he said it best when he addressed that whole slew of articles the other week. I'm not going to make everybody happy. That's not my job to make everybody happy. It's my job to make good decisions to make sure that this little chunk of Warner Brothers is successful. Me personally, it hurt to hear that, Cavill wasn't going to be back. But then again, we haven't seen him for the past couple of years.
Right.
So it's like, what's going to be the difference now? Yeah, they got our hopes up with Black Adam. But, I mean, that's The Rock's fault. He's extremely quiet right now for a reason.
We're going to talk about that in a second.
I'm looking forward to James Gunn's take on this new younger Superman. It got me thinking about how they did it with the Tomorrowverse after they finished the other animated universe. We're basically seeing that for the live action. And I honestly think DC needs a hard reboot that could get me canceled. But I'm just going to see what it has in store. I'm not going to jump to hate it. We haven't seen anything yet. It's weird.
Paige, any thoughts on like a fan boycott? Do you think it'll matter, or do you think DC's more concerned about general audiences? Because I actually think James Gunn is trying to appeal to everyone instead of that DC idea of like trying to appeal to just the fans.
Well, so how much did Thor: Love and Thunder make in theaters?
It was like 750 million, something like that. It was almost
how much is
800 million.
How much did Spider-Man No Way Home make?
No Way Home, like almost 2 billion. I think it was like 1.9 billion dollars.
There's your answer. There's $1.2 billion gap there.
Yeah.
Between who wouldn't have Love and Thunder? MCU fans and maybe like some general audience.
Right.
General audience that saw the trailer and went, "Oh, okay, I'll go watch that." So if you can make your product enticing and people want to go watch it, there's a big gap there. You could take that 800 million that Thor made, and there's still 1.2 billion sitting there to make. Now, obviously, every movie's not going to make that, but I think Warner Brothers out of the gate would be like, if James Gunn's bigger projects made $1 billion plus, they'd be like, bring it on. Okay, we'll take that easily.
But would you agree that like technically a Batman and a Superman film should be able to make $1 billion? I feel like that's a no-brainer, right?
Yeah, and that's because it started well, had a massive opening weekend, but it just wasn't a great movie. So it was just always going to, and then bad word of mouth, obviously it had a bad review score and it became a meme. Like the sad Affleck and all that stuff became a meme. It didn't help out of the gate. And I've always said, and this obviously Snyder, like they probably should have just fired Snyder then or moved on from him, because then you would have avoided the Justice League absolute crazy fiasco. And DC's probably in a better spot now if that happens. I know Snyder fans want to hear that, but at the same time, it would have saved him a lot of stress in the whole situation around the Justice League thing. and obviously the stress that led up to even it coming out and all the drama.
Yeah.
And DC could just rebuild from there. I don't know if they would have canceled the Justice League movie and just done something else and then done Justice League later, or they just would have done the Justice League that the studio wanted.
Yeah.
Without having that mishmash of tones.
You know, I want to say one thing I think that Marvel has done that I think DC wants to do is Marvel has managed, not every single time, because we know Marvel's had stumbles, but what Marvel has managed to do for the most part is they've brought in actual comic book fans, but there's also fans of the MCU that don't read comic books. They just go to the movies.
Yeah, like 95% of them wouldn't read the comics.
Right.
You just look at the sales of the comics and then compare them to the box office numbers.
So as much as Zack Snyder's vision of like doing something super comic book accurate for comic book fans, I applaud him for that. I think it's a great like mantra to have. It doesn't bring in money though. There's not enough money just doing that. And if you're making like a $40 million film, fair enough. But if you're making a $200 million film, you have to make it for more than just diehard comic book fans. And I know there's people that's going to disagree with me, but Black Adam, if I were a studio executive and I were watching the Black Adam situation go down, you have The Rock, who Paige and I were shocked. We looked it up. Jumanji was like $1 billion movie. Jumanji was like $1 billion movie. So The Rock at the top end can make $1 billion films. It is possible. So you have The Rock going in, you have him talking to the fans. Everybody seems to be excited about this movie that had been like almost 2 decades in the making. And you're hyping up Henry Cavill. You got the JSA. The special effects look good in the trailer. Everybody's super excited. You go into it and the fans don't support the movie after you spent so much money on advertising. And I want to say this, people want to argue with me about it. It's very clear that they spent a lot of money on advertising for Black Adam.
A lot.
More than a lot of other movies that came out in this era. There was a lot of money spent on Black Adam. So to see that and then the fans don't come out and support it. And, you know, I'm not finger pointing at anybody. If you didn't want to go to the movies and see it, that's fair. If it wasn't something that you were excited about, that's fair. But from the executive side, they saw that people didn't care enough about the Henry Cavill cameo, which, by the way, was leaked as a cameo before the movie even actually came out.
The man wouldn't shut up about it either.
Every red carpet. What is it? Brandon Davis? Is that the guy from CBR that's always on the red carpet and stuff?
Yeah.
Entire interviews surrounding Superman and Black Adam, completely forgetting that the JSA existed. No comments about Dr. Fate, nothing about Hawkman, nothing about the JSA. Just literally, when is Black Adam going to fight Superman? The studio was like, why are we spending money on this? They're talking about a fictional movie that doesn't even exist. Black Adam versus Superman? That's nothing right now. But that's all the red carpet was. So Black Adam 2 will not happen. And we're going to talk about why in just a moment. Rex here with a $1.99 super chat. Thank you so much, Rex. I appreciate it. Could really use it this time of year. Sorry, Lance. I love you and Paigey equally. Much love. So apparently there was a battle going on in the comments that I was not aware of, but there we go. Thank you so much, Rex.
I appreciate that.
All right, let's read more here. It goes, Cavill found himself in a confluence of different headwinds at the studio. I got tongue-tied there. Dwayne Johnson pushed for his return via the much-hyped cameo in Black Adam and a potential linchpin for Johnson's own DC Universe franchise. By the way, that was another mistake. The fact that The Rock made it seem like he was running things at DC, and I'm pretty sure DC didn't like that.
He thought he had so much power.
But Black Adam has grossed $389 million worldwide. Its soft performance calling into question Johnson's much touted plans for a sequel and an eventual Black Adam versus Superman movie even before Gunn's decision. The studio had its own plan as a new film. Co-chiefs Michael DeLuca and Pam Abney wanted to make a Man of Steel sequel, having Peaky Blinders creator Stephen Knight to write the treatment, which, by the way, I think they said Brainiac was supposed to be the villain. Is that right? Okay. Yeah, that's right under that. Classic character Brainiac was said to be the villain of Peace.
I don't believe that either.
Yeah, I'm just going to be like, okay. In the end, he was a pawn in Dwayne's failed attempt to control a piece of DC, one insider observed. So that's the other thing is that everything Dwayne Johnson was saying, he was coming out and doing interviews like he was in charge of like DC. Was I the only one getting that vibe from those interviews?
I hated every interview when he was just standing there like this. Just like, it's just like calm your ego down. Because I felt something like this happening. Mm-hmm. And also, you obviously aren't the brightest one, Dwayne, because you should have been asking him, can we move this release date?
Right.
Why would you release it? You really thought you were going to be able to compete with Black Panther?
Yeah.
Another flag.
Paige, I don't remember. We had a lot of talks about The Rock in this role early on. And you saw the movie recently because you watched it when it came out on digital.
Yeah.
How do you think Rock did as Black Adam? Like just in general, compared to what your expectations were, do you think that he nailed the role? Did he do everything you thought he was going to do, or was it more or less like, because you didn't get to review it with us. So I'm just curious your take on his Black Adam character in the movie.
I mean, the movie as a whole was just fine. It was okay. I think he's still a miscast. Like, he's just not Black Adam. It was just The Rock. It was just The Rock in a super suit talking.
Yeah.
It was just, well, actually, it wasn't full on Rock. It was like 80% Rock and then I guess a 20% attempted acting or something like that. Because, I mean, The Rock is just The Rock is just not going to be an actor. You know what I mean? He's just going to be The Rock. He's just going to be The Rock. And that's not, you can be The Rock, you know, you can be, but like, I think you see more with like John Cena. I think John Cena is a better, you know, wrestler turned actor than The Rock. And it was just a miscast. I don't know why he jumped for this because it just didn't fit. I don't know. It's just weird. Just weird. And like, to a degree, I feel bad for him because he's waited so long to get to play the character and get the movie done. But at the end of the day, it was just like, sometimes, you know, like it just took too long. It just took, sometimes you just got to drop something. Or they should have like, okay, well, I was cast as Black Adam. Can I play another character?
Right.
Because you got to remember, he was playing Black Adam when there was no DC world. It was meant to be, I guess it was just meant to be a standalone movie. Or it was meant to be it was Black Adam in a Shazam movie or something like that. It wasn't in it. Like, there was nothing there. It was like, what, 2008, 2009? Like, maybe it was meant to be in the universe that Green Lantern was setting up. Maybe.
Yeah.
But even then, not too sure. So, yeah, like, just things went wrong. And so, I think I said it was on the Twitch stream on, I don't know, maybe an after party previously.
Who knows? We do so many streams now. Who knows?
Yeah, but it was just like, I think he should just accept the L. Just say, okay, it was an L.
Yeah. Because
sometimes you're better off accepting it and it makes you look better than whatever has been going on over the past couple of weeks where there's like fake reports of the finances coming out, ignoring it, and then acting like a bad like a bad sport when the Henry Cavill stuff comes out. Yeah, he was cast in 2007, so 15 years to get the movie out. Like some people here might be 15 watching. Dwayne Johnson as Black Adam could be older than some people in the chat.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true.
Crazy.
3Dub is Team Eric member chat. He's an enhanced Team Eric member. Thank you so much.
By the way, can I just comment on something the Flash wrote? David A. is Suicide Squad. It was a success because the studio actually interfered with it.
I didn't see the comment. Wait, this one right here, right there.
Yeah. That was a success because the studio interfered with it and was able to market the way that they wanted to market.
And Gunn's version flopped because this is the same thing
with a pandemic. You can't.
I know. I was going to say, like with the Black Widow stuff, it's hard to predict what it would have done had it just came out in theaters. We don't know. So
yeah, I don't think people realize that like that movie made a lot of money, the Suicide Squad, because the way they marketed it,
yeah,
with all like the flashy lights and making it very like even with the what do you call it?
the music video stuff,
Like
and
the
edits
soundtrack and all the
music,
music
yeah.
videos, like that soundtrack was number one for. Like,
I know. I was gonna say that
month or
soundtrack was
something.
like nominated for a bunch of awards and stuff. So
Yeah.
anyway, 3Dub says DC and more important, a less known character trying to go against MCU is a terrible way to make money. So I guess he's talking about Black Adam as a lesser known character. 3Dub says DC and more important, a less known character trying to go against MCU is a terrible way to make money. I think he's talking about
he's talking about Black Adam.
Look, there's nothing wrong, in my opinion, for lesser known characters. We've seen that they can work, they can make money. What I think was going on here with Black Adam was the studio thought The Rock was gonna sell tickets. That's what I thought. I think that's what they thought was gonna happen. You have The Rock flying around looking like Superman and in a black suit with a lightning bolt, and they're like, "Yeah, this is gonna make money for us." And then as it got closer to release, they're wait, maybe it's not going to make money for us. So let's throw a Henry Cavill cameo in it, and then we'll advertise Henry Cavill. It's almost like they were scrambling at the end, if you think about it. So very weird. Also, before I read the super chat, Lance, you pointed this out, and Paige and I were talking about this. We don't know if he was ever following them or not, so maybe you know. But The Rock and DC social media accounts are no longer connected, right? They're
right. He was following them because he was tagging them in a lot of stuff on Instagram.
Okay. So he is no longer following them, and he did not promote the digital HBO Max version of Black Adam at all.
The last Black Adam thing he said was about the final box office numbers or whatever.
Which we've already proven that was
that was bullshit. The last thing he's ever posted about that. Like he's been virtually non-existent on social media. He would normally be promoting his show for the mid-season finale. He didn't post anything about that. He's been quiet. The last thing he posted, I think, was something about that Christmas movie with
I did see that.
With Chris Evans. That's the last thing he posted about.
Paige, do you think that his silence right now has to do with all the drama surrounding the fake numbers and the box office stuff, or do you think he's just
with the following stuff, there's no proof that he was following them, so that's like a 50-50. Like it's no one has proof that he was following them or anything like that.
But
so
the not advertising is definitely
the advertising thing is like, well, he advertised the digital thing, he didn't advertise the HBO Max, so that's weird. And he did post some stuff like yesterday or something, like, but it was like a personal stuff. So
you did?
Like,
I ain't fine.
Yeah, like,
it wasn't related to like Black Adam.
It was like a photo of him and his daughter or something like that. I remember seeing yesterday.
Has he said anything about the Henry Cavill stuff? I don't think he has.
No, but I think it's not his space to speak on it as well. Like he might be advised like to not.
His agent, their agent commented on Henry's post, but that was about it.
Like I think The Rock is trying to be as professional as possible now with it all, at least on the Henry Cavill side of it. Like it is weird that he didn't post any Black Adam stuff because also he's a producer. If it makes money, well, I guess on HBO Max he makes no money.
Well, still it's supposed to be for the fans. You think he would be like, "Hey, fans, if you haven't."
Yeah, but that was never the for the fans thing. Only sprouted up like about 2 weeks before the movie came out.
Right.
It was never for the fans until about 2 weeks before.
Yeah. Kenneth here with a $5 super chat. Thank you so much, Kenneth. Hey guys, yikes! The future of DC live action between the films and the TV shows is up in the air, but I do remain hopeful. At least there is Superman and Lois. So, I'm still on the fence about what's going to happen with Superman and Lois. I really don't know, to be honest.
Well, you know what?
What's
this might help what's going on at the moment, because who knows how long it's going to take James Gunn post Aquaman next year to get his first film up, and they're not going to do any series on HBO Max DC wise until the movie stuff starts.
Right.
So the movie has to come out first before they do whatever
so they might say we've got to keep DC characters in the community, like out there in the public,
which might lead to co-financing,
right,
to keep stuff on the air on the CW and also with Titans and Doom Patrol potentially as well. Obviously, there's no co-financing on that.
Think
side,
about
but-
it. If they don't have something in production mid 2023, we will have no DC films.
There won't be.
in
There won't be.
2024.
There's no way they'll start by the middle of next
That's
year.
what
The
I mean.
earliest would be the back
Are
quarter.
we going to
So
potentially
maybe-
not get another DC film until 2025?
potentially, yeah. Like there's a chance there, or it's late 2024. Like they go for like around this time of the year, obviously
Wow.
in 2024. So it's because it also depends what he's going for, because James Gunn writes quick. He said that before, and I don't know how many drafts he has. I think there's an interview. I think he did a podcast once where he was talking about his writing process, and I think he doesn't like doing too many drafts, but he does. But he also writes quick at the same time.
Yeah.
So I don't know what that means, but it also means like finding the right director, because you don't want to get into drama from before.
Yeah. JK, I don't consider. I know the Joker is a DC character. I don't consider the Joker films to be in the same vein as like the actual superhero films. It's.
Yeah,
I know it is technically on paper, but it's not the same.
Yeah.
Just like the Sandman on Netflix, it's a DC property, but nobody really puts it in that bucket. More Darkness with a $5 super chat. At least they should have subtly altered his voice to try and sell the Rocket's death at Adam. That's the other thing, is that this reminds me a lot of Will Smith. Okay, so Will Smith in most of his movies, people will say if you're not going to let Will Smith be Will Smith, then you're losing out on the charisma that makes him a good actor, right? What was that, After Earth? Was that the space movie where him and Jaden went to the planet together, or went to Earth together, or something like that?
Yeah,
I can't remember.
The M. Night Shyamalan movie.
Yeah, and they basically said they took his charisma away, and so that's why the movie bombed. It's quite possible that The Rock tried to not be The Rock in this movie.
I don't think that really.
You don't think it mattered, or no?
I don't think it mattered. I think it was just the fact that The Rock's just not an actor. Like he can act, quote unquote, act, like read lines of a script, but he's not. I don't know how much range.
See, I've always thought of The Rock as an action star. Like he's an action actor. You just put him in a movie and you say, "Be The Rock," and bring.
Or he can be, or a
Yeah.
comedy. I think he's comedy or action. I think it's like
I think comedy and
where he's
action
playing a
works
different
together
character.
a lot of times. Like it can work together.
Yeah. But also, no. But even in Black Adam, like a lot of the, even when they attempted comedy, it was the same stuff. It was all like, "Oh, I killed someone awkwardly."
I want to know in the chat, do you guys agree that The Rock is kind of a one-note actor? Because I would say I think he is, but maybe I'm wrong. I don't know if there's an example.
Yeah, he is. But he is. But like the thing is that some of the biggest movie stars have been that, like Arnold Schwarzenegger and like.
Yeah,
Van
no,
Damme
this is not me like judging his ability to be an actor. I'm just wondering if he is if he's a one-note actor. Like he.
Yeah, and that's fine.
only
I don't
really
think
do one thing.
I don't think the Rock's sitting there and on his bucket list is win an Oscar, like
Right.
at least an acting Oscar. I don't think that's sitting there, you know. So I think he's made bajillions of dollars being The Rock and just being The Rock in movies and stuff like that. And that's what people aren't paying to see. The Rock definitely does not have range, unless the range is how far I can throw.
I was going to say, I saw that The Rock has range from Willish World.
Don't talk Willish. In just over 12 hours, you have a chance to win a $25 Amazon gift voucher supplied by DJ Eric. He's got Argentina in the World Cup slate thing. So,
well, let me ask you this, Paigey. Do you prefer The Rock in Black Adam or The Rock in The Scorpion King?
Ooh.
I don't know if I've seen Scorpion King. I've seen Mummy 2, where The Rock's the Scorpion King. I don't know if I've seen Scorpion King.
Would we agree that Keanu Reeves is a one-note actor, or no?
I've never been a major Keanu fan because of his just like everyday regular talking voice is the voice he uses in roles. So yeah, I'd say he's kind of one note, but he makes it work.
I won't
It's
say Keanu's
weird.
one note. I don't know if Keanu's one note. I think it's just like maybe you might not prefer some of his acting style, you know, like if he's just talking like Neo or whatever it is. But you know, like I mean, Bill and Ted, like he's good in Bill and Ted.
Can you do the Neo voice again? I like that.
Mamma mia!
All right, let's we're almost at the end of this article here. Cavill sources say did not have a deal in place to return to Superman, only a verbal agreement that the studio would develop future projects. He was paid $250,000 each for his cameos. The actor in recent years has a resurgence thanks to starring in Netflix's popular fantasy series The Witcher, which saw him earning $1 million per episode. Cavill left the show this fall, although it's unclear if the promise of more Superman appearances were behind the axis. Has that been debunked or not? Do we know for sure whether or not he left because of Superman, or is it sort of still a rumor?
I thought he left because of the because he didn't like the direction that the show was going in. But I mean, now I'm wondering, did he already have this deal in place for this Warhammer show that he's starring in?
I'm going to say this. You got to be like a dedicated dude to walk away from $1 million an episode. I mean, I feel like that's a lot of money for a TV show, right? For an actor on a TV show. How much does Grant get paid per Flash episode? Do we know? I remember hearing it at one point.
It's $200K, isn't it? For this final
So.
season.
So $1 million is a lot per episode.
Well, it's $1 million. If they say $1 million, but really he got paid $8 million for the season. I think what it was. So they just averaged down the amount of episodes, and obviously ends up being $1 million per episode. Yeah. So Grants were getting.
I would be pissed off
million?
if I left a show because I was promised to come back as Superman, and then I was told that I'm not, with no contract in place.
I don't think he left. I believe the creative differences thing, because I don't watch The Witcher, so I don't know exactly how the show went. But from everything I've heard,
the show's okay.
Season 1,
it's fine. It's not great, but
from everything I've heard in season 1, it's really faithful to the. I think he said the book. I think they said the book.
The book. Yeah, not the game.
And then it turns into like a very Hollywood season 2.
Yes,
a very loose adaptation.
Yeah, and Henry Cavill wasn't a fan of that. Like, he was very involved in season 1, but in season 2 that didn't happen. So he agreed to do season 3 because I think that was the end of his contract. And then that's why he's left. And now it's not a surprise that he's jumping into Warhammer, where he's an executive producer as well. So the only issue with Warhammer is that I haven't heard anyone say Warhammer since I was about 14. And that's because some kid in my school still painted them. So I don't know what the interest is around Warhammer, or if the interest is just going to be around. It's weird because I know Warhammer's not like it, but you have that Gears of War series, which is coming out from Netflix. The armor looks somewhat similar. It's just a bit bigger. And I wonder if they're just going to try and be Gears of War. They're going to compete like big armor dudes fighting.
Yeah.
Actually, I did play a Warhammer PS2 game. I think it was 40K. I think it was called Warhammer 40K on PS2. It was like a co-op game or something like that. But I just don't know what the interest around Warhammer is. I know it's still alive and still people do it. It just feels like.
I was gonna say, I know a lot of people that play it. So for me, it's
Omega like knows. Omega told me about it when he found out the other day. So
I know it gives me like Dungeons and Dragons vibes in regards to the hype around that movie.
It might be.
But then again, I think that helps is that people already have Amazon,
right?
So they get to watch it for quote unquote free anyway. Not paying $20.
It makes it a little bit easier with Amazon because there's less pressure to pull in subscribers because, like you said, people already have it. So
I don't know how Warhammer is a board game. It's not.
There's a video game too. Right? There's a video game.
Yeah, no, I played. Yeah. Is there a video game now on it?
Oh, I don't know. I know there has been.
I played the video game back on PS2. I think it was. Or was it GameCube or something?
Yeah.
Was that the one? It was Warhammer 40K. I think it was called, or was it 40,000? I can't remember. It was a good PS2 game. I think it was really hard.
Omega says Dark Tide. So Omega, I'm locking you in right now. Locking you in. When this show comes out, do you want to do reviews with me on it? Because I will, if you know enough about it, I will have you on and we'll do reviews for it like we did with
What if each week you bought a little Warhammer statue and during the review you paint it and see who fucks it up the most?
Oh gosh, it'd probably be me.
You have to get your little monocle little like scope thing to see as close to it as you can. It's like, oh, I've got to get this like 1 millimeter gap here.
Oh no, I'm bad at that. I'm bad at details. All right, it says here, Gunn and Safran are well aware of the sensitivities behind axing the popular Justice League cast by Zack Snyder. The sensitivities? That's a good way to put it. as well as the sensitivities of parting ways with high-profile and popular talent, foregoing a call to agents and producers. The executives met with Cavill to discuss their plans and seemed to indicate a potential new role down the road, which, by the way, we talked about this in my video. If Henry Cavill's not going to be Superman, do not cast him as anything else because the fans will not accept it.
Well, do you want to hear a hot take from
what's that?
From a older guy that I casually talked to about this stuff? He says that all of this.
Thought you were going down a different path.
Oh, no.
An older guy I casually.
Okay, there we go.
He likes DC. He has very, very off-topic hot takes about stuff. He says that wasn't Gunn and Henry Cavill saying that he wasn't Superman anymore. He said Cavill wrote that article out of a place of emotion, and he should have waited until Gunn wrote his statement, even though they were posted at almost the same time. Says Cavill is still Superman. They're just doing Zack Snyder's Final Crisis.
Okay, anyway,
I thought it was crazy too. The
pair have also made overtures to Ben Affleck, aka Batman, asking him to direct the DC film for them, while Jason Momoa, who may be done as Aquaman, has met with the duo as well, possibly about playing a new role. And then it goes on to say Cavill's already lined up another franchise, Warhammer 40K at Amazon. And this was interesting right here. This right here sounded so shady to me. As for Gunn, he responded to a fan who accused Warner Brothers and DC of stringing Cavill along to goose Black Adam's opening weekend, which, by the way, I do think that was part of what was going on there. Said Gunn in a comment on Instagram this week, everything with Black Adam happened before I was around.
That's true.
It is true, but it's just funny because that answer sounds really like, don't talk about that shit because it has nothing to do with me.
Yep.
Like, but Paigey, this goes back to what we were saying. How could they promise Cavill a role as Superman in the future films when they knew that this was the case with Gunn and Safran? That's weird.
Yeah.
The whole thing's weird. I blame his agent. It's like I blame Danny Garcia and that whole 7-pound whatever it's called. I blame that whole little circle. Uh-huh. They should have been handling this for Cavill from the jump. I blame him. I blame them. Now, I mean, I'm sure. What if they offer Cavill the new role of Jonathan Kent, the dad? Like he's just Pa Kent.
Nobody wants that.
Nobody wants that. Like just like they're saying, and then they try to shoehorn even Ben Affleck. We're talking to him about directing. People still want to see a solo Ben Affleck Batman film.
Yeah.
It's like I wanna see where you go with this, but these promises that you're, not even promises, these little sprinkles of stuff that could be promising, it won't make people happy.
I honestly feel like we will never see Cavill back in the DCU.
Me either.
I don't think so. And I will be very shocked if Ben Affleck ends up doing any directing. He might, but I'll be shocked if he does.
No.
So I feel like these are all just like, look, we have this bad stuff over here, but there's a silver lining. So, that's the vibe I get from that.
Do you think it's a bad idea? I asked this question. Well, I said this on Twitter earlier. Do you think it's a bad idea to still release The Flash, which could serve as a hard reboot? You released The Flash in June, but you still have Shazam and Blue Beetle and Aquaman coming after that.
Okay, so we're going to talk about that now. Let's go ahead and talk about that because this is like the future of the DC film franchises. Before we do that, the Multi-Topic Talk, who's a Team Eric member, says, I was wondering if you guys know when Titans will be back after the first of the year. I'm not sure of the exact date, but it's not going to come back before the beginning of January. I don't know if they've released or they've updated when the second half of the season is happening.
Well, but people are assuming the 12th after Doom Patrol ends.
That's what I would say. Yeah. Most likely. But anyway.
Eric is scared of the return.
Of what? Titans?
Titans.
No, I'm not scared of it at all.
You're worried about it shitting the bed.
Oh, yeah, it might. That could happen. What's up, Canada Graphs? All right, so we're talking about the upcoming DC films and the future of the DC franchise. And this is all kind of, again, an extension of that other conversation. So we have Shazam coming out. We have Blue Beetle coming out. We have The Flash coming out. We have Aquaman coming out next year. If this hard reboot is happening, which, by the way, I didn't find out from you guys before we say this, do you think it's going to be a hard reboot to the DC franchise now that we know Cavill Superman is out? Like, do you think we're just going to reboot everything? Because I know that there's been no confirmation on that side. There's been rumors like they're going to keep John Cena and, you know, some of the James Gunn stuff, but they're going to reboot everything. Do you think it's going to be a clean reboot, or do you think he's going to pick and choose what he's going to get rid of and what he's going to keep?
I think now that he basically got rid of Henry, he has no choice but to get rid of like the DCEU of yesterday, only because it's gonna backfire if he keeps his wife hired on, and you know his baby, which is Peacemaker. It'll be weird. So everybody, the entire Justice League, Ezra, well, Ray's already gone, but you know, all of them. I see all of these characters getting rebooted, you know, younger actors, you know, fresh coat of paint, and we're going to be moving forward with them. But it has to be it has to be everybody. He can't pick and choose, because then he's just going to get more hate and backlash.
Well, outside of getting hate and backlash, why do you think he can't pick and choose? Because I feel like you could do that. Like, you could use a variant, just like what Marvel does. It's so the era of confusing fans, I think, is over. Like, I don't think that matters anymore. I think most fans now are very comfortable with what the concept of a multiverse is. So I think he could pick and choose if he wanted to, because we already have a Batman and Joker universe that's completely disconnected from the main universe.
I don't see them staying separate for much longer.
Okay.
He may say that now, but if he's doing a younger Superman, and that information came out the same day when he basically, or the day after, he debunked that whole Matt Reeves Batman verse not being attached. I don't see Zaslav, you know, wanting them to have that many variants out there. Okay. And only because I don't think Zaslav is a good decision maker. Yeah. I don't mind a multiverse, but I don't see, you know, him being 100% on board with that. You're going to have two Batman almost of the same age, almost doing the exact same thing in two separate film universes. I don't see Zaslav wanting that. And I don't see the point when you have, I mean, Robert Pattinson, he's a good Batman. His universe is fresh and new. It's easy to, you know, and I know they deleted that scene with the at the Halloween party or whatever it was, where they had the Wonder Woman and the Superman costume on somebody for a party or whatever it was. It's easy to slide that in and just do a hard reverse of what they already did with the old DCEU with Man of Steel and sliding them in. So I mean, I think it could work. Like what you said about having the variants. One that I think could stay would be Viola Davis as Amanda Waller.
Okay.
I could see her staying. Peacemaker, I can see him just plucking that out, although it won't work for long, because people will just keep jumping on him about it. Like, Peacemaker is his baby, and he's making this decision. You know how the internet is. I think that's just going to backfire.
Right. Well, Lord Genome here says it would continue to create confusion among the masses, not the hardcore fans, but 5% of the overall audience. I don't know. I feel like after Spider-Man No Way Home, people understand what a multiverse is and what, you know, variants and you know, alternate versions of characters are, Elseworld versions. I think they get it. You're going to have some people that are confused, but there's some people that don't even realize that the X-Men movies and the MCU were separated. Some people didn't even realize that Superman and Batman are a different world than Captain America, but you can't make movies for people that are just that completely.
That's true.
detached. So I want to say this though, and I just looked this up before we go further with this. You talked about Matt Reeves' Batman being included in the DCU. Do you think that would mess up that trilogy? Because Matt Reeves was kind of promised his own little pocket world of Batman. If they insist on using that Batman in the greater DCU, that puts added pressure on his films that isn't necessary. You know what I mean? He's going to make his movies. Now he's got to start thinking about like everything else in the world. That's something that as a filmmaker, when you come in and you work out a contract with a company, a good example is like when I go to DJ out of town, I have contracts and I'm like, absolutely none of this. And if they breach that contract, I can opt out of making an appearance. So if Matt Reeves was promised a trilogy and in that contract, it was going to be his trilogy without connecting to anything else, if they decide they want to go in another direction, he could walk away from it. You know what I mean? Do they want to risk getting rid of him? Because I don't think he has any interest in creating a Batman universe within the greater DC universe.
I think it's a way to make I think it's a way, and what Boba said, I agree. It's a pro and con situation to me. I believe it's a way. Lobo running around out there. I think it's a way to make it work, but I just honestly think that if they honestly plan on adding in a new shiny, brand new Batman along with their new Superman, yes, you'll have the fans of the Reeves movies in Pattinson, but then of course you're always gonna run into this, but whoever this new Batman will be, he will potentially be in the shadow of Pattinson. And in return with that, they'll both be in the shadow of, Ben Affleck.
So I do want to say, I kind of get what you're saying. So let me just go on the other side of this here. And Boba, good to see you in the chat. Thank you so much. Because the fantastical aspects of the larger DCU examples or metahumans, aliens, it just doesn't blend with Reeves' less fantastical vision. And that was kind of my point with what I was saying earlier, was I don't know if he wants that in his noir type Batman world. Yeah. I don't know if that's what he wants. But Lance, you make a good point, right? From a creative perspective, it's different if you want to do like a Batman TV show and a Batman movie, because then it's like two different things. One's a TV show, one's a movie, easily separated. But do you want to have like 5 different Batman movies out there that are not connected at all? That's a really good question. And I can't tell you if I have the answer for that, but that's a good question.
And they already said that like he doesn't, because potentially we were going to have 3 different Batmen, going forward, because, you have
Michael Keaton
and Ben Affleck in the Flash film, but then you're going to have Michael Keaton in the Batgirl film, and then potentially a Batman Beyond film that nobody knew about. Right. So it was going to be Batman galore.
Yeah.
And they were all can you imagine the Twitter fights?
Yeah. Stagger with the 49 super chat. What do you think will become of Robert Pattinson's Batman? Because I heard James Gunn doesn't want multiple Batman. Well, that's what we're talking about right now. But thank you for the super chat. I'm going to leave your comment on screen while I ask Pagey his thoughts on this. Pagey, your thoughts. Are we going to have multiple Batman? Do you think Robert Pattinson's Batman is going to get folded in? Where do you see that going? Because that's probably the one sort of outlier to the reboot, I think, when it comes to this new DCU.
I mean, I think it's fine having the 2 Batman. Obviously, if you're going to like 5 or 6 or 7 or bajillion versions, okay, then no. But I think it's fine letting Reeves do what he wants to do, build his, because it needs to be very. It's important to remember that, like, just in Gotham, you can create a ridiculous amount of stuff, even just the stuff that extends outside of it within that Bat family and the characters within there. You can build a whole franchise that probably go for like 20 movies just within there if you wanted to, or X amount of movies and X amount of series on HBO Max. But I still think it's important to have a Batman within the main DCU, and they can just make it a different version.
Right.
Now, don't go, borderline retired Batman like they did with BBS with Ben Affleck, because
Old
otherwise,
Batman,
I don't
Superman.
need to see it's just you still want to see like a form of a bond there where there's still like some youth there, but also some experience at the same time. But I don't think molding them together is the best idea as well. But just because I think Matt Reeves has built that world, and it's different. It's just different. Let him do what he wants to do. Let him do his spin-offs.
It's my favorite version of Gotham. I think that Gotham, like that world, the way it looks, is my favorite version of Gotham.
It just feels like scum lives there, but also vulnerable people live there as well, which I think is what Gotham needs to be. Like, there's vulnerable people there, and that's why Batman needs to.
Most Gothams that we've seen in live action are almost caricatures of what a city is. This one feels like a real city that people really live in.
Although trying
like Batwoman.
Although trying to go, oh, it's New York, but it's just a bit more evil. Like, that's just
Batwoman's Gotham just looks too much like Canada to me, so I can't get over like
who
Batwoman's Gotham.
Oh, Batwoman, yeah. It's like, hold on, it's Central City. I've seen that building before.
Yeah. I also think Gunn outright saying entirely untrue with regards to Variety's report about incorporating Reeves' Batman to the DCU says it all. And then the follow-up to that is, plus 2 Batman characters, Reeves' DCU is a lot less than what was going on before with Keaton, Pattinson, Batfleck, potentially another casting or something. I actually think, Boba, in my opinion, they're trying to streamline, right? Does that sound right to everybody? I feel like James Gunn is trying to streamline the universe with this reboot, starting out with Superman, probably, which maybe not is starting out with Superman. Let's talk about that. What if Blue Beetle is the first movie in this new DCU?
Might be. Do we know if there are any the only thing that I heard, and this could be completely untrue, is he's 22. He goes to Gotham University, like Cyborg did, and that's when he bonded with the Scarab. So I was taking it as he was going to be the DCEU's, basically their Cyborg replacement,
right?
Because the origins are almost like too similar.
This would make Blue Beetle safe. If this is in fact the beginning of the DCU, that would make Blue Beetle safe, which is something we worried about.
If there isn't that gap, I would say yes.
Or it could be a standalone Blue Beetle world.
But I think you're going to get to the point where they make it standalone and they maybe like address it.
So let's talk about percentages here. Standalone Blue Beetle for now, or first DCU film. Which side are we leading?
Standalone. And honestly, I wouldn't mind them. I think they need to. I think they'd be safer sticking with standalone films for a while instead of trying to jump into creating a huge, fantastical cinematic universe, because we see where that got them.
Right.
No, I think. Well, what do you mean by that?
I'm saying, like, don't try to. I'm saying yes, you can drop little breadcrumbs here and there. Not saying that would start with Blue Beetle or whatever film it starts with. You can drop those, little breadcrumbs here and there, but don't have a Superman film and then in their post-credit scene, you literally have him flying up into the sky and discovering the Watchtower.
So you mean like building outside of the film, like in out credit, after credit stuff and stuff like that?
Yeah, like keep it. Don't jump the gun, because you did that before and it didn't pan out too well.
No. Maddie, go ahead, Paige. Go ahead. I'm gonna read this.
Well, it depends what his world is, because he's tweeted out saying that he's gonna be, like, when we start, it's an established world with superheroes already. Like he said that like Superman's gonna have known. He knows of the other Justice League members. He's tweeted that out. Like he said, like that's a element that he wants to put in. It's not going to be like Pokemon, like got to catch them all, like walk down the street. Oh, there's Batman. He can join the crew. Oh, there's the Flash. He joins as well. So he doesn't want to do that, because that just seems so simple, and it's very much like what the Avengers did. Like, you remember the Avengers movie? It's like, oh, each one just arrives. Oh, here's Thor just landing on a plane. So,
but
like, how convenient, they're just showing up.
That also makes me wonder, why go to basically a year 2 or 3 Superman, like, in his early days at the Daily Planet. Why go back that far if he's already a well-established hero with other heroes in this world. Like, why?
No,
go
it's just
back
that heroes are well established.
Okay.
Heroes are well established, and characters know characters. It doesn't mean Superman's known Batman for 10 years and they're best buddies and one was best man to the other one. It's not that. It's that they know of each other and that they're out there. So it sets up that universe without having to have like the awkward, is she with you? Like that type of stuff. You have to avoid that.
So would you be okay? Would you be okay would you be okay if this new Superman lands on the street and a Flash just runs past with lightning, and it just so happens to be Ezra Miller, and he's saying, "What's up? You want to go get some shawarma?" Would you?
No, he's like, no, he'd be like, "Yo, going to Hawaii, want to assault someone." That's what would happen there. So I don't think that's going to happen in the James Gunn movie. I think he might try to avoid that one. But because that just seems forced. That seems like what would have happened before.
Right.
We are dealing.
What you would want to happen is that you do some other stuff, and it just feels like the comic books. There could be like a little reference or something like that. Even if we want to refer to Eric's favorite show of the past 10 years, She-Hulk, it could be just like a little newspaper clipping. If they want to do that, just something little, and it builds up. But I think he said he's going to take time. He's not going to do a Justice League film in the 4th movie. Mm. He's going to take time to get there, and that could be 8 movies. It could be 6. It could be 12.
That's all I care about. As long as you take
and we have those, and we have those series that should happen based off what Eric's mate Zaslav has said. So,
what if Peacemaker season 2 is the start? Peacemaker season 2 is the start.
I don't know if you could do. I'm interested to see what he does with that, because I think he's going to get called out for hypocrisy. If he does cherry pick who stays and who doesn't. But I think if the vast majority has changed, and like 2 things, okay, well, he's going to cop criticism for that because he's picking favorites. But I think if he changes 50% of it, and he goes like it's an even split with changing what he wants to change and keeping what he wants, I'm fine with that. Even if it's like a majority, him keeping 60%, I'm fine with it. But I just think if he changes the majority, recast pretty much everyone except for his mates that he works with or has worked with, I think he's going to get called out. Like, I'm not going to really care too much because I just want a cool DC world that feels like the comics,
right? Which
I think James Gunn is going to be able to do.
Well,
but I don't want to see fire James Gunn trending every single freaking day.
I want to say, regardless of how the Suicide Squad performed financially, that movie is the most comic book movie that DC had ever done.
Yep.
Up until that point. Just remember that. That was the most comic booky style movie that we'd ever had. And he made people give a shit about Ratcatcher. I mean,
Aquaman was pretty comic booky.
It was,
but
I think
they're on par.
Pretty close.
Yeah.
So Maddie has been a enhanced Team Eric member for 2 months. Thank you so much. I hope you're still here. I just saw this over on YouTube. Just realized I could do this, meaning give a Team Eric member chat. An early happy Christmas and New Year, since this is the last after party of 2022. There we go. Merry Christmas.
Actually, Eric,
happy holidays
exposing
and
a
happy
bit.
New Year. What's up?
Obviously, you don't want to spoil it for anyone that might be watching, but name one Christmas present that you bought someone.
One Christmas present?
Obviously, don't say if you bought anything for your brother because he might be lurking.
Yeah.
Pipe bombs.
Merry
Christmas.
Yeah. I purchased something from a place called Junk Brands.
Junk Brains or Brands?
Brands, Brands.
Okay.
It is a place that makes headbands, like elastic headbands, and they do them with DC and Marvel characters and stuff on them. So I purchased some of those. Junk Brands. Yeah.
Junk Brands. Is it online or is it like a local shop?
No, it's online. Junk Brands. I saw them on Instagram. Yeah.
I might need one of those. I've got long fucking hair at the moment.
No, it's great. They're great. And I went on and read, and they have really good reviews. So I decided to order like
Junk Brands.
Junk Brands, yeah.
Brands.
You know what? Let's do this.
What about you, Lance? What did you buy for Christmas if you've done your Christmas shopping? Man, I talked to someone, he hasn't done any. Enjoy the next week, you idiot.
You're going to call me an idiot, but I only
haven't done it.
I'm only doing for my kids, and hold on,
What?
making sure they're not in their room. We got them iPads, and I'm just gonna go find
Flex.
some Barbies.
Some Barbies.
Yeah,
All
just
right,
some Barbies.
By the way, do they still make Action Man?
Oh, I don't know about that.
I don't
Do you
know.
remember? Did you ever play with Action Man when you were younger?
Yes, I do, but I don't know if
Did,
they still
did
make them or
anyone
not.
ever do? Did anyone ever get Action Man like action figures?
Yeah.
Mate, they were like hectic, and they got like all the different like accessory. It was like a male Barbie, but it was Action Man.
Yeah.
Like you could make him swim in the bathtub, and they did like a movie or something with him. I don't even know what happened to that thing. Yeah, actually, I don't know. I just remember when I was a kid, like the late 90s, really early 2000s.
This is not hashtag sponsored. I'm just showing the website. This is it.
I
That's what it
think
looks
I
like
had an
right
Action
there.
Man that was like a scuba.
I'm gonna check that out, Eric.
Like a scuba diver. He had like flippers. Like he had. Wasn't Max Steel? I didn't even know what Max Steel was until that weird movie came out.
Yeah.
A handful of years ago.
All
it was
right,
Action Man or Action Man. It was like orange. He had like an orange sort of colored. Like the guy
I do
wasn't
remember
orange,
him, and like you could buy different accessories for him and stuff like that. So
yeah,
so it was
yeah,
a cool
so like,
version of Ken.
yeah.
Yeah, but like, I think there's one from like the 80s, and like this dude looks like Pierce Brosnan. What the hell?
Thomas Scott became a Team Eric member. I thought you were already. Maybe you upgraded. I'm not sure, but thank you. And he has a comment here. I want to be confident in Gunn, but Zaslav worries me. Should we be worried about Zaslav when it comes to decisions with James Gunn? Do you think he's going to micromanage him? I feel like he might.
I worry about Zaslav when it comes to anything. So,
yo, I actually had this one. I remember it.
Wait, Action Man, did you find one? Oh,
yeah, sure. The ninja dude. I had the ninja one. I remember him with the headband.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, man. Action Man, you get like the flippers and everything. Mate, how good was being a kid? Well, actually, so this is a bit of a Page's pick, but what was what was your favorite Christmas memory? Like the one time you got something and you were just like overjoyed. It's like the one thing you wanted the most throughout the year or the most ever for Christmas that you got.
This one's easy for me. I just remember the whole thing like it was yesterday. We went into a department store. I don't remember which one it was. And they had all of the Voltron lions, the individual lions that formed into the Voltron robot. Am I speaking before? You've never seen the Voltron?
I know what Voltron is. I had to look up like a visual reference.
Okay. So they had the yellow lion, red lion, blue lion, green lion, and the black lion, and they all form into one thing. And I went into the department store with my mom. This was right before Christmas. And I wanted the full set. Like I wanted the whole thing. And my mom was like, no, you can only get one. I'm like, what good is one lion going to do me? I need all of them. They form a giant robot. Like, if I don't get all of them, I don't want one of them, right? So she got me one. And then I remember being so mad in the car with this one lion, and it was the arm, which was one of the smallest ones, because it's like the arms were the small ones, then the legs were the medium ones, and then you had the black lion, which was the main body or whatever. I was so mad about it, and I remember being so mad for like 2 weeks, and then I got the rest of them for Christmas. I felt so stupid.
Did you apologize?
No, but I did. I remember never doing that again with any other tool, but I was so mad about it. It was pretty
What
funny.
about you? What about you, Lance? Any favorite Christmas present memory when you were younger or even recent?
Well, for me, when I was younger, it was always, you know how like back in like the early 2000s, they started like releasing all like the Dragon Ball Z Budokais and the Budokai Tenkaichis. So it was a tradition every year for me to beg my mom to get it for me early.
Like the games, like the PS2 games.
Like the PS2 games. I always asked for them early. I would get mad when I didn't, but I turn around and get them for Christmas every year. So she always waited, one, to teach me patience, two, so I could actually have something fun to do on Christmas Day. And well, last year it was when I got my PS5 because I thought I was never going to get it in life.
Oh, that lines up with mine. I have two. The first one was when I was like 7 years old, and I was like the one thing this is when you're still writing lists to Santa, because Santa exists, but just in case there's anyone younger watching. But Santa, obviously, Santa.
By the way,
really
next
does
week
exist.
I'm doing my Santa beard with all the glitter and stuff in it. So get ready for
that's
that.
dangerous. But yeah, Santa exists. So this is when you'd write a letter, and like my mum would, like in the Australian post office, they'd give you like the list with like the special envelope, and you'd put it in the post box and everything like that, or you'd give it to your parents, put in the post box. And I wrote that I wanted a PlayStation 2, and I was like dreaming, because I remember it came out late in Australia. Like it came out much later in Australia. And I thought, I'm not going to get one, because they were so popular. Like I reckon they were more popular than PS5s, the PlayStation 2 back then. Like that was insane. Because also there was no Xbox back then. There was
also no scalpers back then. So
yeah, there was no like eBay was a thing, but obviously not to the degree. And I thought I wasn't going to get it. And I wake up Christmas morning and there's a box there. It's a big box, but I was like, is it Hot Wheels or is it a PlayStation? I pick it up. It's heavy as shit. I'm like, it's either bricks or coal. I open up, get the PlayStation 2 with a couple of games. It was probably the happiest I've been on a Christmas morning. And the other one was when my dad decided to troll me, early stage trolling. And I think I was like, I don't know, Guitar Hero World Tour had come out. And it came with like the drum sets and the guitar and everything in the microphone. And it came in this massive box. And he trolled me by putting like a scooter, like a really crap ass, like $20 scooter from Kmart or something in there. And I was like, I don't need a scooter. I've already got one. And I looked at him, and I was pissed off because I almost got told I was going to get it. And I had a whinge. I'm not going to lie. I had a bit of a hissy fit. Eric in the shops with his Voltrons, I guess. But for me. And then he trolls me and he goes, okay, can you go get this from this room? And it's right there. Because obviously it was a massive box. I would have known as soon as I saw it. So it's there. So, and that was probably my favorite Christmas tie with the PlayStation 2.
Oh, well, there we go.
I beat the shit out of those drums as well.
All right. So moving on from good memories to possible bad memories. Yeah, Zaslav worries me, to answer that question. I feel like he can always come in and put the axe on anything. So
me and Eric always hit each other up like, what's he gonna kill today?
All right. We got a couple more super chats here. And then we're going to talk briefly about a couple more things before we wrap stuff up here. So $5 super chat from Multiverse of Geekdom. Thank you so much for being here. I'm assuming, based on your icon, that you guys do a podcast and talk about stuff like we talk about. So I'm going to go check them out after this, see what you guys have. But thank you for the $5 super chat. It goes, do you think we could see Michael Rosenbaum return as Lex Luthor? Now, I know on Twitter he was like petitioning for, I don't know how serious he was though. I don't know. I'd like to see him back, but I don't know if he's, gosh, this is going to sound really bad. I don't know if he's a movie Lex Luthor or a TV Lex Luthor. Does that sound offensive? I don't know if that is. I don't want it to be offensive because I love him as Lex, but I can only ever picture him on TV.
Yeah, and he also basically called out the CW for that not wanting to use John Cryer on Superman and Lois. Yeah. He said they don't ever do what the fans want.
I don't know. I'd love to see him though. He's my favorite. Like honestly, he's my favorite Lex.
Same,
easily. I just don't know if he could carry a movie as Lex. Maybe he could. What do you think, Paigey? Movie Lex, not a movie Lex? What do you think?
No, I think they'd go for someone who's like, I think like scary.
Right.
You know, like no offense to Michael Rosenbaum. The only movie I've ever seen him in was that Sorority Girls. Remember that?
Oh yeah.
Remember Sorority Girls? That would get cancelled nowadays. Holy shit. But funny back in the day.
All right, Stagger over with the 499 super chat. Have you guys talked about WBD potentially changing HBO Max to Dispatch? I think we talked about it like 2 weeks ago when they first announced it, right? Didn't we do a whole thing on that? I believe we did. I think Max is a dumb name. It's not very searchable, and the word Max is so common. Like it doesn't work for me. Maybe they'll add an extra X to it or something.
Apparently, it's called Max because they'll just have everything.
It makes me think of a store here in America we have called TJ Maxx, which is like a discount clothing store.
Are those still open?
Yeah, we've got a bunch of them around my area. So they've expanded. They now have a grocery section around here.
They have one here called TK Maxx in Australia. It's
That's
TK Maxx.
a knockoff.
Do they have that over there, or is it just TJ Maxx?
Just TJ Maxx.
TJ Maxx.
Yeah, it's TK Maxx over here, and it's like a Kmart sort of thing.
Do you have Marshalls?
No. Wait, no. What's Marshalls?
I think
it's
they're
like a discount
attached to
store.
TJ Maxx.
Yeah.
I think.
Mate, when I went to America for the first time, for the like 5 years ago or something, the first time by myself without an adult.
I saw this
Brad's
earlier,
parent.
but I wanted to leave it for a moment. Canada Grass with a $5 super chat. Can you start all over from the start again so I don't have to watch it on playback? Thanks in advance. Yeah, it's not gonna happen.
Eric, you really blew everybody's mind in the comment section about the groceries.
Did I really?
I'm TK Maxx in England as well. I wonder if it's like
straight
a
up
branding.
TJ Maxx in my area has like 5 aisles of groceries.
Is it like real stuff or is it like knockoff grocery store stuff? Like instead of Fruit Loops,
it's like stuff that expires tomorrow. like it's.
Can you buy like an apple and do like a review on it? Just see. I went. By the way, when I was over there for the first time, and I went to a what's it called? Ralph's over there, and we bought a watermelon because it was hot. It was like, oh, God, we'll get a watermelon nice and cold. Cut it open, dry as shit. I thought bought it from the Sahara Desert. I was like, where's the water?
It's not.
It's a watermelon. Where is the water aspect? It was dry as hell. It was like it almost like it'd been freeze dried. It was like crispy. Why is a watermelon crispy? It was disgusting. We threw it out. The pineapple was. It was not as dry, but I was like, what happened with this pineapple as well? And I was like, I don't know what was going on. And like your blueberries were like $1 million. I was like, why are these blueberries so expensive?
That's hilarious.
All right. So last thing I want to talk about with the DC stuff very quickly is the Flash movie. How important is this movie now? Do you think it's going to matter? What do you think about the cameo stuff? Do we need to wait for more information? I feel like we're kind of in a holding pattern with the Flash film because it was going to be the Great Reset. Is it still going to be the Great Reset? Is that what we're thinking? Because Aquaman comes out after the Flash. And Paige, you said you think it would make more sense to swap the Flash and Aquaman's release time. So the Flash is the last movie in 2023.
Well, yeah, you can sort of change the movie and only the ending or something, or just refilm something and make it that almost like that. I mean, the movie wasn't that great, but what was that movie? The one that set into the new animated thing. Dark Side wasn't a Dark Side War.
I forgot what it was
Whatever.
called.
When Barry's talking to Constantine, he runs off. Whatever it was called. That movie, you could just do something like that, and just
Apocalypse War.
Whatever meeting was. Yeah, that's what it was called. Yeah. Something like that. Like that seems like a pretty easy.
So I don't know what we're gonna go with it, but I feel like it's weird that we're gonna get a Flashpoint movie that supposedly resets stuff, and then we have a movie that comes out after that technically won't move forward if Aquaman is gonna be the last DCEU film.
Hot take: at the end of Aquaman 2, he uses the trident. He slams it down in the ocean so hard that the water washes over the entire earth and just erases it. And then you see James Gunn pop up on screen. Hi, I'm the new runner of DC Studios. I want to introduce our new Superman.
Oh, there we go.
And it's Ezra Miller.
No, don't even go there. All right, before we talk about the next couple topics, Laura, Team Eric member for 33 months, says, how much do you think Flash will make now with the news? I would say that all the movies are at a weird spot where they may not do very well. If they had, well, okay, so we have to wait a little bit because we know that he's going to announce the slate of films after the first of the year. So if he announces like Superman, Batman, Flash, all of these projects that are brand new, most people are not going to care about the movies that come out in 2023.
We're going to get a Gotham Knights film. I feel it.
Mm,
Gotham Knights and Naomi. I feel it.
I don't know, Paige. Is there any of those 4 movies you're going to the theaters to see next year? Or are you going to actually go out and spend money on?
What, the 4 DC movies?
Yeah, if you had to pick, which ones are you willing to go in?
I'll probably just go see all of them because all of them interest me.
Okay.
Um,
Unlike the past little few movies where you were like not too super interested in them.
the only one I didn't go see was Black Adam.
You didn't go see Doctor Strange, right? Wait, no, you did go see Doctor Strange.
I did go see Doctor Strange. I saw
But you
Doctor
didn't
Strange. I
see
saw
what
Thor.
you stopped watching after Doctor Strange was the one you.
It's pretty much this back half of the year.
Okay.
I just haven't been really bothered to go to movies.
Right.
But yeah, like what Shazam's in March or something. So I'll probably go see all of them. I need to wait and see what they're doing as well. Like, because who knows if there's gonna be like some weird changes there because there's no like obviously there's gonna be a bit of a I guess a reboot of Swords. I guess like they probably don't care what order the movies come out in anyway.
Oh, Paige saw Morbius in theaters.
Yeah, but I didn't pay for it. And I didn't even pay for parking.
He had to make sure you knew that he didn't pay for it.
How do you think?
Yeah, made pay for the parking.
How do you think Shazam's gonna do regardless? Because these are, but the villains are like original characters.
I don't think anybody that saw Shazam 1 thought about the villain, to be honest. Like, I don't think there was. I think most people that went to see that movie probably just care about Zachary.
But after this, I'm thinking after this Black Adam stuff and all these articles coming out saying how he said it wasn't worth his time and he didn't. I'm thinking it will.
What happens if Shazam makes more money than Black Adam?
Yeah, and then if it's like they see these villains and the villains suck, they be like, they should have put The Rock in here. That would just be literal.
I've always said that I think they could have done the Black Adam story in with the Shazam story. Just replace the JSA with Shazam and have Sabak as the villain. They could have literally just made it that as the Black Adam things. Yeah, Sabak.
You said Sabak.
You said like Sabak or something.
Oh, I put a long stress on the B's.
But you know what? I think it depends on, and it also might help something like Shazam 2 is actually James Gunn promoting it. Maybe. I think that probably wouldn't, be too bad. And also, one thing I've actually really noticed, I don't know if anyone else has, with a lot of the DC movies I know there's been the pandemic and stuff, but I feel like they weren't doing talk shows.
No, they weren't.
And I know not as many people watch talk shows nowadays. Like, I'm surprised they still exist, really. They could be on YouTube, but like that's still like a promotional tool that was used, and you just don't see that happen as much. Like, I just feel like it's like you're like a flip of the coin for a DC movie doing it.
This is a good point, though. Right now, a lot of people are strapped for money because of the holidays and the cost of living. So.
Of course, The Rock did a lot of talk shows. I mean, we're just talking about the ego thing before. Like,
yeah,
all eyes on me.
So, yeah, I understand that, Cameron. Totally get that. Okay, we got a super chat from Maddie, and then we're going to move on to our final topics of the day. Says here with a 449 super chat. Have you seen people are doubting the point of watching DC movies in 2023 because of the reboot? Bit hypocritical and stupid, in my opinion. So I think you're going to have this core group of people that are going to be like, I'm boycotting them. I'm not going to see them because, F the studio, blah, blah, blah. I think the general public doesn't care. They're just going to go see it if they want to see it. So...
And also, it's like, are you only ever going to see a movie because it connects to something, not because it looks interesting?
Right. Yeah. Ooh, that's true.
And how do we know if it connects or not? We don't know what James Gunn's doing 100% either.
What's going on with this? I haven't heard anything since that initial announcement.
I don't know why. I don't understand why there was such a push for this to get a second, like there be Constantine 2. I don't understand it. Everyone talks. I don't know. Might be
Sean,
like the minority
good
here,
reminder, because I remember it was huge news for like a week and then crickets.
A week might be pushing it, Eric.
Crickets.
A day, an hour.
Before we move on, I want to say this reboot can actually solve the Shazam kids problem too, because they are aging out of the young kids role. So
yeah, that's true. All right, let's briefly talk about this photo. We got a bunch of pictures in the trailer. We'll all kind of combine it into one thing because I want to give my thoughts on the Stargirl ending and the Jay Garrick stuff. People are saying that this suit is different from the other suit. Is there something on it that I'm missing? Is it? It looks like the same suit to me.
It's the same suit. I don't know. I don't know.
It's the same suit.
They're saying that the shoulders are different and that the neck is different. Is that true?
It looks the same.
The neck looks the same. I think people might not have watched because I think people forget that he has the nanotech mask now.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't have a little flap thing that goes down the back.
And plus, Grant's kind of built now too.
Yeah, he's buff now. He's been like
so like I'm
so.
sure he worked out even more in between the break. They may have to give him the Namor treatment in post.
Well, and some people were saying because if you look on the corner over here next to Lance, when I take this down, the neck does have a piece that comes down to the actual emblem, and then on this picture that isn't there anymore.
Yeah, but that's because on set he actually wears a physical mask that has that flap that goes down and goes under the badge.
That was it. Like the nanotech thing was what I was thinking, which is why I think people are saying that it's a different suit, but I think it's the same suit.
Because they're basing it off him with the mask versus not with the mask. But if you go to last season when he doesn't have the mask, it looks like this.
Yeah. So, but the trailer came out. We talked about it briefly over on Twitch. By the way, one more time, shout out for my Twitch, twitch.tv/Eric Reloaded. We talked about it over there briefly. We're going to talk about it here for a moment because Lance was not with us in that chat. Trailer got me hype. I was really, really excited for it. Anything in the trailer stuck out to you that you are thinking about going into this final season, or are you just ready to see Javicia as Batwoman? Like, which one is it? So,
well, you know what's the most important thing to me, but no, I'm excited to see what they do. First of all, the first thing that caught my eye was just how beautiful it looks.
Yes,
as compared to other seasons.
Yep.
The cinematography is freaking amazing. This go round, like Paige said the other day, they must have went to, to Warner Bros. Whoever they got to talk to, say, look, Batwoman's not filming. Let us get that equipment.
Well, by the way, Paige also, people were trying to gaslight him, saying that the trailer was somebody's at my front door. Somebody trying to gaslight Paige into thinking that what did they say, Paige, that they've done that for all the trailers or something like that at the beginning, and you were like, no, that's not the case, and we had to
no, because it's still out, and you can literally go to the Armageddon trailers from last year, and it's full screen.
And if
they use the 16:9, like the digital television. That's what Flash has been running off, the digital television. But they run off, I think it's Univision, I think that's the term, which is the 2:1, which is with the black bars. And then you have Panavision, which is like in the movies, which is like full on widescreen. So this is widescreen television, if that's a way to put it, with the black bars on top, which had only been in Batwoman and Superman and Lois. I don't know if did Naomi do it? I think Naomi did it. I don't know if they did. They might have, but I can't remember.
Naomi, Batwoman, and like the newer shows, like they aren't doing it like Superman and Lois is doing it, because they're doing it completely different with their cameras. But like the newer shows that go straight to HBO Max, they've been doing like this aspect ratio since the whole 2019 swap of where the shows go. So I'm just excited to see this. Like, and watching Paige's video, like I didn't even realize that was the Fiddler. That was a great catch, Paige. I gotta give you your props.
I think I was the first one to catch it. I think anyone else had caught it.
I actually did first, but I didn't make a video on it. So
people were thinking that was a laser.
Shut the fuck up! Shut the fuck up!
I mentioned it to Paige in DMs, and he was like, "Oh, okay." And then he made the video, and I was
all you mentioned to me is like, "I bought pizza. My ass is itchy." Like that's all you send me in DMs.
Wait, he said what was itchy?
His ass. I don't know why. I'm like, what do you want me to scratch it? I'm not coming over there to.
Oh my god!
No, like when you said that was the Fiddler, I'm like, okay, we're getting Izzy Bone. It's good to have another Fiddler back after losing two of them. So yeah.
Well, what's going on? 2 of the season 4 metas that died are back.
Yeah.
Earth Prime, the Thinker did something else.
No. Is this set up for a Hartley Sawyer Ralph Dibny return?
You know, that would actually be great. It would show maybe Next Star is more forgiving.
Oh.
Maybe they aren't. Well, I mean, they canceled a lot of things that people love, but maybe they aren't that bad.
No way. I figured it out. The person in the hood is Hartley Sawyer. And then he pulls it down and he's like, back bitches. And it's like, imagine that reveal. If there's something that would break the internet, it's that.
All right, we had a Team Eric member chat. Did we talk about this one from Laura? I don't think we did. Did we? How much the Flash will make with the news? Did we talk about that one? Money wise, how much do we think the Flash is going to make? We did mention it, but we didn't give our answer for that. How much do you think the Flash is going to make?
Less than Black Adam.
Oh,
I've been sitting on $1 billion, but I think with this, you know what? I think it depends what the context of the movie is now. Like, is the movie going to, because I think if it's going to be used as like a reboot tool, then I think it makes $1 billion. I'd be shocked if it did not. But if it's just a straight up, just chucking it out there, so because we spend money to make it, just to get it done, okay, then it probably makes like maybe like 7, 8, something like that. Maybe like Thor: Love and Thunder numbers. Because it's still a massive movie with multiple Batman, Supergirl, everything like that. No, that news that came out that they're cutting Wonder Woman's cameo, I don't know how they do that because that whole opening, like, I think it's like a 10, 15-minute scene.
Lloyd says 800 million at least.
I think I agree with Lloyd. I think if it's a bigger tool of a movie, that sounds like I'm dissing it, but it's like a bigger use of a movie, then I think it makes $1 billion. You know what, Tom or Tombus? I don't even think it matters if they put Ezra, because 95% of people don't even know about the drama surrounding.
Yeah, the drama. They did a good job of keeping the drama out of like the main news. A couple of big outlets picked it up, but it kind of got suppressed. So unless Ezra gets prison time, I don't see any way this movie doesn't go on as planned. So,
I think even if even Ezra it does rock the old orange jumpsuit, I think
if he gets if he gets prison time, they're going to be going in the news and saying.
Well, you know what? I think they're hoping that the movie comes out before Ezra's.
That's what they're hoping,
wrapped up.
Yes.
They'll probably try and.
Which is why they're not going to delay it until the end of 2023. I don't think they're going to do that. So
unless there's a chance that Ezra gets off, and then they'll be like, okay, we'll delay then.
Hold on, wait, what did you say? Ezra gets off?
Well, if Ezra gets off, then they might delay it again. It's like, oh, he's sweet. Okay, we can bring it down. Just leave it till December.
All right. So we're going to quickly talk about, because we have about 20 minutes left. We're going to briefly talk about Stargirl. It's out of the news cycle, so everybody's seen it. Everybody's talked about it. I've given my thoughts on it a little bit, but I want to talk about two things specifically. The potential for Stargirl to move on somewhere else, and the Jay Garrick stuff. That's the two things I want to cover here. So, fantastic season and series finale. I liked everything in it. All the acting was great. Special effects were great. You see where all the money went? It went to this final episode, which is fine. A few little nitpicks here and there. Nothing that really made me feel awful about the series. I think all of it kind of wrapped up the way I wanted. But the end of the episode, we get like a time jump of 10 years. After we've kind of wrapped up most of the stories, with the exception of the Starman stuff and the brain being stored somewhere else, which could have been a potential like season 4 storyline. From you guys, what do you think the chances are of Stargirl at this point continuing on in some way in another platform? Do you think there's a chance for that to happen, or do you think they're good with the way they wrap things up here?
I think they're done. I think it's done for the most part, unless I don't know. It depends what James Gunn wants to do. Like, he might want to use the JSA and Stargirl, and even might try and pick and choose from there. I don't know. The thing with that is that it's always going to be interesting to see if they do another live action Stargirl, and say within the next 5 years or stuff, how they go about that. Because Jeff Johns, who created Stargirl, and obviously based on his late sister, said that Brett Bassinger is the perfect Stargirl.
Mm-hmm.
So does that mean you're automatically always going to be casting a runner-up?
I'll be honest, we've had other Stargirls, but I think Breck is the one to me that feels the most like the actual character from the comics, to be honest. I don't know. Lance, would you like to see the show continue on, or do you feel like they wrapped everything up in a nice little bow for you?
I would like to see it continue because I love the show, but I think the way they wrapped it up was well done. Um, Honestly, I feel as if there was a chance of the show getting saved, they would have done it the same way CW came in and saved it when it was on DC Universe and it wasn't really getting the views it was supposed to. I I mean that goes for all the shows that were axed.
Mm,
I mean I feel as if WB feels as if the show ran its course, and the CW Next Star obviously feels as if it didn't fit their new vision. So
right.
they I'm glad Jeff Johns had the gall and the forthwith to, you know, to just say we're gonna film an ending that will be satisfying and leave hope for the future, and we're also gonna film an ending just in case we're still continuing. Which honestly, I think both could have worked.
Right.
Even if the show was renewed, they could have done the time jump to have them.
I actually think at the rate that the actors were aging, it kind of made sense to do a time jump, to be honest. Because everything in Stargirl took place within like a year over like real life, like 3 years. So the actors were aging in a way where it wasn't going to make sense for them to continue to
it wasn't too much of an issue with like Courtney and all them, but it was an issue with like Mike and Jakeem. Mike and Jakeem aged like 4 years in the space of a year.
Just with Mike alone, between season 1 and season 2, he hit a huge growth spurt, and it was awkward because they're like, you were a little kid, now you're tall as your dad. Like,
right. Boba says, I wonder if Gotham Knights is another Naomi season 1. I think so. I think there's a high probability, even higher than Superman and Lois, that Gotham Knights only gets 1 season.
Did you see the promotion for it now? Like they had Misha Collins and Elizabeth Tulloch, and it looked like she was getting ready to go out for the day when they had her film the video.
Yeah. I don't see Gotham Knights being a big thing. You know, it's like people always like to crap on Gotham because Gotham was like the non-Batman Batman series. But to me, Gotham Knights feels even less interesting than Gotham. Which,
why make up a son? That will all. Let me not go on my
hot take. What's hotter, Pennyworth or Gotham Knights? Which one is Pennyworth, the origin of Batman's butler, or Gotham Knights? Which one is going to be better? Like,
well, it's probably Pennyworth because Pennyworth is just a spy show that they've just changed the name of the characters to make it a Batman show.
Yeah.
The next thing we're getting is Gotham Groceries, the people that sell groceries in Gotham, and then Gotham Panhandlers, and then like we don't need to know the stories of every single person that lives in Gotham.
I thought you were going to mention. I thought we're going to get a show about the people that make the tech for superheroes. Oh wait, Powerless. Sorry. I thought that's
no. It has to be even less interesting than that. Gotham newspaper delivery. Like that's just I feel like it's just weird.
Oh, how about? Okay, so this might not be able to go on HBO Max because they seem to be banning lewd shows. But Gotham Hookers. Thoughts, Eric? Would you watch? Because you got to think about it. You'd be able to bring in characters like the Penguin, Falcone, potentially, and they could be like an alternate universe where they're pimps, and then maybe like Two-Face, and maybe so instead of like an underground like overall criminal organization, it's just a pimp ring, and Batman, who we could call.
I know you're joking, but I get you. I bet you like 30 to 40% of the chat is like,
and that's the thing. You could technically get a crossover.
Please highlight
you could get a crossover with the Flash by bringing in Cecile's daughter.
No, look,
and then there's another low like storyline thread that connects the shows where Hartley Sawyer's just Hartley Sawyer, not Ralph Dibny, but he's the biggest customer throughout all these different.
We could do Gotham's OnlyFans. That would be like a completely different.
I think you're pushing. I think you're pushing it by going that far, Eric.
The biggest issue I have with Gotham Knights, well, one of the biggest issues is, it's like you didn't even try for your Bruce Wayne casting. Like the guy that they cast doesn't even look like Bruce Wayne. He looks like me. Like you don't look like Bruce Wayne.
Is he black?
Well, he's not black, but it's like he's the least Bruce Wayne looking Bruce Wayne I have ever seen. George Clooney made a better Bruce Wayne.
Look, guys,
so
Yeah, go ahead.
Is he showing up? Do you get to see Bruce Wayne? He's not just under
Yeah.
that mask.
Yeah, they pull the
Okay.
mask off.
They're
Yeah.
doing a flashback. Oh, and
Um,
also the horrible mask that they 3D
yeah, that mask
printed.
is garbage. But I want to say this: I don't think Gotham Knights will get canceled or renewed based on the ratings, because one of the things I've noticed about the CW right now is they're not paying attention to that. They know what they want the network to be, and if a show doesn't align with what that is, they don't care if it's doing good in the ratings. They don't care. So I truly believe that regardless of the ratings, Gotham Knights is a 1-season show. I could be wrong.
We're gonna come back to this video when they say Gotham Knights were renewed
Bookmark
for
it.
another 2 seasons.
Bookmark it, someone. Remember this one. So when I go on Twitter and say, what episode did we talk about that in? You guys can tell me. All right. Last thing before we go. Jay Garrick, Stargirl, was the big ending to the series where he rushed in and basically told them that, they need to rally the troops because we need the JSA again. Is this the same Jay Garrick from The Flash? Is it the same one? Yes, no, thoughts on it? Because I still feel like that's not a definitive answer, but what are your thoughts on it?
I say yes, only because Jeff Johns made it a priority, and Pagey said it in his video. He had to talk to Eric Wallace so they would not screw up timelines, because yes, this Jay Garrick is in the future, from 10 years from Stargirl is still in 2020, I think, canonically. So it's 10 years from 2020, but not as
they're still in COVID. Talk about a long time.
So they're just cannot. They're not as far as 2049 in the Flash. So he didn't want to contradict anything.
Okay. Here are my 2 cents about this, and I kind of echo what Joey is saying here. I don't think it matters. I don't think it matters because it might matter if you're a huge fan and you're like, I want to believe that they're connected, but in the big scheme of things, I don't think it matters at all, because I don't think the Flash is going to reference Stargirl. If that makes any sense.
Isn't that like the X-Files? Do you believe? I want to believe.
To me, there's a lot of reasons why it doesn't make sense that it's the same Jay Garrick, but there's also a lot of things that contradict that, and people say, well, what about this? What about that? At the end of the day, to me, doing something for the sake of doing it doesn't make it better, if that makes any sense. Like, if they were going to bring Stargirl over to the Flash, I would say, this is awesome. We're going to get Stargirl in the final season of the Flash. It's all connected. I would be totally down with that. But just throwing Jay Garrick in at the end to sort of connect it at the end with no chance of that crossover ever happening doesn't feel important enough for me to give a shit about, if that makes any sense. Like, I know a lot of people are fighting tooth and nail about it, but I don't know. I'm not totally sure. And the thing is, Boba made a comment here. It's confusing because post-crisis Stargirl isn't on Earth Prime. My issue is, and it is confusing, but my issue also is that the entire point of Crisis with the Spectre and everything that happened was that all of our characters on the separate Earths did not know the multiverse existed. Right? They just, even if they knew there was a multiverse, they were under the impression that the multiverse didn't exist. So I'm supposed to believe that Jay Garrick is the one person on Earth Prime that knows the multiverse not only exists, but can travel the multiverse?
I always said I think it was completely accidental after the Christmas massacre. Maybe he tried to escape. Well, not tried to. Maybe he ran away so fast that he, just blipped himself.
No, I don't have an issue with a speedster having the ability to travel the multiverse. We've seen Barry do it. Zoom has done it. I get it. It's how would he know, and how would he do it after Crisis is my question. How would he even know where he's going? You know what I'm saying?
That's the thing. I don't think he knew that he could do that post-crisis.
So
I think post-crisis he originated on Earth 2. That's always been the way I thought. He originated on Earth 2. Had all his adventures with the JSA, from the start of Earth 2, when from the beginning of that, because the beginning of Earth 2 is, the beginning of time post-crisis. So I think he did all of that. The 2010 JSA massacre, they're getting the living crap beat out of them. He runs away, flips himself, and ends up on Earth Prime. Just decides to stay there.
What I'm saying, though, is that
I don't think he realized he did that, though.
No. So the 2010 massacre, the one that we saw in Stargirl, supposedly still happened exactly the way we saw it.
Yeah.
Right? So my question still remains is, if he did run away and blip over, then how would he know how to get back? And why would that have not been a conversation that he had with anybody else in Star Labs? What is the point of keeping any of that a secret? And how would he have existed on Earth 3 and had like the whole concept of him being on Earth Prime with Henry Allen is already confusing, as it is. So this adds another layer to like, what? Like, I'm not going to nitpick it. I really want to. I really, really do. But for me, at the end of the day, if you want to believe that it's the same Jay Garrick, I'll support you in that. If you don't want to believe it's the same Jay Garrick, that's fine. I'll support you in that. It's whatever. The connection is, it wasn't done in a way that I feel like is meaningful. Like, if they're never going to cross over with each other properly, I don't see the necessity in doing it.
I just want to know why he ran through the table. That's all I wanted to know. Why did you saw that perfectly good table in half?
Why didn't he face through it? Why didn't he face through it?
Exactly. That's unneeded destruction.
Yeah. I don't know. I like John Wesley Shipp. He can play Jay Garrick on any show. I'm good with that.
What if John Wesley Shipp is the Flash in this new DCU?
Oh, no. What if he...
De-aging technology. I wouldn't mind it.
Newsflash. Technically, originally, the plan was that his Flash TV show was going to be in the same world as the Batman '89 movie with Michael Keaton. Yep. That was the original plan. So there we go. All right. We're going to turn off the banner because we are at the end of the show. Paigey has something to announce, and then we're going to wrap things up. If you have any super chats at all, you have like 5 minutes to get them in before I have to leave. So here we go.
Okay. Get down to the final game.
Okay.
It's Argentina versus France. This is for the $25 Amazon gift voucher supplied by DJ Eric, most likely sometime in the next following week after the game. But it's tomorrow. It's about 14 hours away. Actually, 13 and a half hours away. It's between Argentina and France, a.k.a. Willish World versus Miata Dean.
Oh, my gosh.
These are the two that can win the $25 Amazon gift voucher supplied by DJ Eric. Who will win? My prediction, it will be Argentina. So that would be Willish World winning a $25 Amazon gift voucher supplied by DJ Eric. So when if you're watching it, just remember you're not just cheering on Argentina versus France, you're cheering Willish World versus Miata Dean.
There we go. All right. But what would he have to consult Eric Wallace about? It takes place 10 years in the future.
He just wanted to he was just saying he wanted to make sure that he wasn't going to mess up anything that Eric Wallace had planned for the upcoming Flash season.
What would that have to do with anything, though?
I guess you don't want to screw up a timeline. I'm not Jay.
No. Jay Garrick is not a main character.
No. But it is, like, to be fair, it is important. We've seen a future Jay Garrick on the Flash, so I think it's just more saying that, like,
we know that Jay Garrick is alive in the future. The cameo was 5 seconds of screen time,
but still, what
was there to consult about?
A lot.
No, I don't think it was anything major. Like, they sat down for 4 hours. I know you need. I know, actually, Eric, you're being a
I'm being serious here. There was nothing there that would have conflicted with the
maybe.
Flash.
But maybe he wanted to know if Jay lost his boots. All right.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing. You said it right at the beginning, or someone said it. It doesn't matter. Who the fuck cares? The show's over.
I know.
Who cares?
But it's just funny to me that he said.
You know,
because I
this
remember
reminds
quote,
me.
so-
This reminds me of the COVID rants and battles we had over fucking nothing.
and I
We're
love
post COVID now. We don't
I
have to
love
keep
it.
doing this.
We
This
do
show's
though.
on.
We do have to do it.
No,
I
don't know why you would love it, because you ended with about 17 L's. It was
I had
ridiculous.
all W's. I had a trophy case of W's.
No way.
Yeah.
Everyone, why do you think
Trophy
you're
case
known
of
as the
W's.
king of the L? Because of that
Trophies of
self-supplied L
W's.
factory.
So
If they're
many
trophies.
I had so many W's they started to look like M's. It was like a complete like circle around.
What, so you just
it.
said,
Yeah. I'm just saying that the comments. This just seems really stupid to me. He was on screen for 5 seconds. There was nothing to consult about.
He wanted to
Zero.
know how powerful and what to make the breach look like. He wanted to know if Eric would mind
Right.
a purplish, rainbowish
Yeah.
breach. That's what he asked. Also, did he want Jay to take his helmet off? Because why Jay takes his identity concealing thing off is worse than Grant's Barry Allen.
He
just
takes it off
pulling
all
his-
the time.
Exactly. Like, how are you protecting your
I'm
identity?
going to say this though. That helmet is the dumbest helmet. I know it's iconic, but just the fact that it's basically a frisbee. I mean, I'm just like,
Is it still Hunter Zolomon's post-crisis?
oh no, we still don't know what that story is. We know that it changed post-crisis, but we don't know what it is. It can still be the same because the multiverse exists. It didn't have to change.
But are you ready
Whatever.
for Pregnant Iris this season, Eric?
Oh gosh, we're not getting into that. Multiverse of Geekdom with a $5 super chat. Just want to say thanks for the great show and happy holidays. Merry Christmas, happy holidays, happy Hanukkah, happy Kwanzaa. I'm probably missing a bunch of them. Whatever you celebrate, thank you so much, Multiverse of Geekdom. And there we go. All right, a little housekeeping before we go. There will be a stream next weekend. It will not be an after party. I'm going to do something related to the holidays because it's going to be on Christmas Eve. And I will probably stream for like an hour. And I might have some special guests on. We'll talk about some of our holiday stuff, maybe some holiday movies. I don't know. There'll be something next week. I don't know what it is, but there will be something. So if you're with family, I get it. We're probably going to have a smaller turnout, but there we go. This week, there will be a members only stream. There is no watch along this month. And matter of fact, in January, watch alongs are going to change because there's some Twitch stuff that I have planned. So watch alongs here will change into something else. And then Twitch will pick up. So anyway, that's basically it. Also, just wanted to one last time give a shout out to my Twitch page. Here it is over there. It is twitch.tv/Eric's Reloaded. If you are a Amazon Prime subscriber, you get a free Twitch subscription, which will allow you to watch all of my previous streams for up to, I think, 2 weeks, maybe a little bit more.
Well, it says 18 days ago
18
there,
days
so it's
over
not
there.
2 weeks.
So if you want to go over and subscribe there with your Amazon Prime, you can do that for free and have access to all of those. Or you can just follow me over there. That's fine too. If you follow me, you'll be able to catch me when I'm live over there.
Should I give the teaser? So Eric flashed his ass cheeks last week. So
did I?
Yeah. So there's a little. If that's an incentive, there's the incentive. And also, Eric does get a bit R-rated on the streams.
Yeah. If you send a super chat like right now, like within the next like 1.5 minutes, Sean, we will answer it.
By the way, what are your thoughts on the Zoolander memes? Because I think they're fucking hilarious.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
I've been loving. Oh, you don't know what I'm talking about.
No, I have no idea.
Don't know what I'm talking about.
No idea. Anyway, that's it. So thank you guys so much for hanging out. We had Paigey over here doing his stuff with his Macus McDonald's. And we had
they missed the
drive-through
first
camera,
the POV driving.
Yeah.
Eric got scared he was going to get banned off YouTube if he showed it.
I did. And we also had Lance in the house. Thank you so much, Lance, for coming back, hanging out with us. All right, here's this final super chat. This will be our final question of the day. $6.99 super chat from Sean. Hartley Story coming back would be insane. What do you think the chances are, especially with the CW ownership? I think 0. I don't even think it has anything to do with the new ownership. I think they're just he's been at
What
pawn.
if-
Like,
What
I
if
think-
Brad Schwartz is recast as the new Hartley Sawyer or the new Ralph Dibny?
I don't know. I'm gonna so I'll instead of saying no 100%, I'll say there's a 1% chance. So that way, if he does come back, I don't have to take the L.
I'm gonna get, I'm gonna up you. I'm gonna say 2%. I'm gonna say
Oh,
2% chance.
All right.
So
What about
if he
you,
does show up, I'll be more
Hartley
correct.
Sawyer, percent chance that we get to see Hartley Sawyer return on the Flash. Did he freeze up?
I think he's dead.
Who?
You.
Me? Oh no, I was looking at something on my phone. I'd say 0% chance. I don't see that.
Oh,
happening.
0. Okay, 0. He was completely zoned out. Staggervore with the one eye super chat. Happy holidays to you. Happy holidays to you, Staggervore. And Boba talks with the hot take before we head out. Marmite is better than Vegemite. Well, there we go. All right.
Marmite isn't bad, but Vegemite is supreme.
Oh, there we go.
If anybody here wants to join the cheap version of the after party that happens on Mondays, I'll be live Monday. If you guys,
Who's your special guest Monday?
Nobody.
Nobody.
Just 3 dubs, and one of you guys want to join.
You have
Darren's
a flash
busy.
freak back on?
I did talk. No, not yet.
Okay. All right. We'll see everybody then. Go check Lance out on Monday, and we'll see everybody later. Bye.